study audit for 4 or 5 different components of a study. Now, the focus of today is going to be on a preclinical study, but with this auditing, you can use it for auditing any type of process. It doesn't necessarily have to be a GLP preclinical audit. It can be auditing training records. It can be auditing financial records, any type of audit that you need. And so I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. And so when you launch the process, you always see the process displayed on top. You could always minimize it and then just use the working screen. But this kind of lets you see what part of the process you're in. And so the study audit hasn't been started. I'm right now in the planning step. And so here you would give your audit a name. So we'll call this study (1401) audit, and the description is and again, these are all free text fields, whatever description you want to put in. It'll include the protocol, day 0, activities, data tables, and reports. If you want to attach any documents to the audit, now these aren't the documents that you'll need to actually do auditing, but if somebody was to log into the system and want to look at the audit and what was the audit plan and what did you plan on doing, the documents are documents that are in the document management system. And so you can do it by a document search, document structure, or by favorites. If I just hit the go, it'll list all the documents in the system. If I do a sort, I can look at all the documents for a specific item. And so because I have the reference number field as my study number, here are all the documents associated with my study. And so I can put my protocol. There's a protocol amendment. I have some body weight tables. I have some clean signs. So I can put all of these documents into my audit. I can also go in and put in SOPs. So if I'm going to be doing my in-life, I want to have my body weight SOP and my clean sign SOP linked to my audit. And so this is just putting this information into the audit, so when you're in there, you can look at the documents that are associated with the audit. Attachments are things that are external of the document management system. So if it was something that you needed, a good example would be if you were traveling to a site and you wanted directions. You can load a Google map into here, or written directions, or your travel itinerary if you're traveling, so that when you're remotely accessing the system, you'd have those documents available, those attachments. Because the system is web-based, you can access this through the internet from any location, as well as from tablets, such as iPad, Android tablets. So you'll be able to look at those while you're on the road. So if you're going to a facility, a remote facility, you don't need to bring a big computer with you. You can manage everything from a tablet. So this would be anything external of the document management that you will want to attach. And so audit planning, again, see here's a little tooltip, can be divided into several tasks conducted by several auditors, or you can do one audit for each task. You can have different auditors doing different parts of the audit. So now we'll go ahead and build the actual functional piece, which are the tasks. So this will be my protocol. The audited element. Again, you can go into your document management and find the actual protocol. If you have questionnaires, the system allows you to build a questionnaire for the audit. I don't have a questionnaire for a protocol, so I'll cover that when we go into the facility. Here's where you define the auditor. So again, I'm going to be the auditor for the protocol. Checking this box, what this does is this will send a notification to the auditors that they've been scheduled for an audit. And so they'll get an email notification when they're scheduled, and it'll have the information of when the audit is due and when they're supposed to go to the site and execute the audit. The next step is the auditee, and that's the person that you're going to audit. So in this case, I just have a generic user called study director. This would be the actual individual's user ID and or username from the registered employees. And then if there were observers, and you can also notify the auditee. So if you want them to get an email knowing that you're coming to do an audit, you can click notify, and it'll send them a notification. If you don't want to notify them, then you just don't check the box and you show up for your audit. You can also add observers, so if you know there's going to be multiple people performing the task or in the location of the audit, you can add them as well. The next is going to your task details. So here you can put in, again, a description of the task, just protocol, review, and audit. Anticipated start date. So if you pick, I'm going to start the protocol audit, say yesterday, and it's due by tomorrow, so it's given the auditor 2 days. You can have a priority of it. Is it a high priority, low priority, or normal? And then how long do you think it's going to take? And again, a lot of this metadata isn't required. The only thing that's required, you'll see an asterisk. That's the field that's required. And so if you wanted to say, you know, trying to planning out how long an audit takes, estimated time versus actual time, putting this information in, it'll have the start time and end time when the audit is initiated and when the audit is completed to give you an actual duration of how long it took the audit to happen. When I click OK, now we see I have an audit task. This is the person who's going to be doing the audit. There's a description. There's one item, and it's the 1401 protocol. Next one would be day 0 activities. And I'm not going to fill in every single field. The audited element here, what I can do is go in to look at my study registry. And in my study registry is a list of all my studies. So here I can pick my study, and now I'm linking right into my study registry from my audit. Questionnaires, I can go into questionnaires, and this will allow me to create a questionnaire on the fly. So if I wanted to build one as part of my audit, I can name the questionnaire, create a scoring method, give it a description, simple ratio normalized method, allow comments, build my questions, and then build a scoring system. But I'm going to pick one that's already created. And so when I click on the plus button, it goes into, I have 2 questionnaires. I have a facility inspection questionnaire created and a study conduct questionnaire. So we're going to pick the study conduct. And so now we add that. I can just open it up and look at, there's 4 questions. These are the details. If I wanted to add a question to it, I could. Okay. Again, the same auditor. We'll pick the auditee. Task details. So this we're going to do today, due by tomorrow. Now I have my protocol, my day 0 activities. So we'll back up to my, we're going to do data tables and the report. And so you can just build your activities. So now with the system being integrated, you can take your Pristema data tables and load them into your document management under your folder. And you can have all of your study data sent through QC, through document management, and then also have it available for auditing. Okay, so here we're just linking to body weight tables. There's no questionnaires associated with it. Again, the study director is a responsible person, so he's my auditee. And then, just for time, I'm not going to add the final piece, which is the final report. So now I see that I have all of my audit activities scheduled. You can just look at properties of my audit. Again, you can pick who assigned the person. You can change the leader, the anticipated start date of the audit, the actual due date of the complete audit, priority, actual start date, description. You can put in some follow-up notes that will maintain as part of the properties. If there's any tasks, additional tasks within the system, again, as a process management system, you can create other tasks that the auditor may have to do while he's conducting the audit. And then this shows any actions that are due as part of the audit. So if there's any CAPAs or any other actions that need to be done as part of the audit. Okay. The estimated duration of this audit, say 16 hours. And then once it's finished, you'll get the total. And so you can get a comparison of, it was supposed to take 16, it took 22, or it's supposed to take 16, it took 8. And then there's also an audit trail on any of the metadata of the properties of the audit. So once I've got everything done, I can go ahead and launch my audit. Now what that's going to do is that's going to go ahead and send everything out. So now when I refresh my page, because I'm the auditor, I have all of the tasks. So here's my protocol audit, my data table audit, and my day 0 activities. If you just noticed there was a email that just came up. There we go. So this, because I said I wanted to notify the auditor, this is just telling me that I've been assigned to do 1401 protocol audit. So if I click on that, it's going to open up the email and it's going to give me the information. I can click on it and it'll log me back into Labwise, into the actual audit task. Again, it gives you the name of the audit and then the description of the audit. So that goes to your external email and then also onto my page right here. And then it's also on your calendar. When I look at my calendar, I just hover over it, I'll get the details. It gives you not started, % complete, the assignment date, when it's due, if there's a due date associated with it. And so from here, I can just go ahead and click on my audit task. So again, it opens up the process, so you can see here the audit planning is completed, and now I'm on to my protocol audit task. If there were any attachments, I'd be able to click on them and view them. My audited element is my protocol, so here I can double click, and so pick the wrong protocol. So this will tell you the current protocol is expired, so that means it could be in the document management system and it's not currently distributed. So if, say, the protocol is out for review and you were linking to the document, you'll get this notification. Once that protocol is approved and distributed again, you'll be able to open the document. So it's not something that you have to worry about, what do I do here? It's just that it's under its own review process. So it's kind of a way to tell you that I can't go ahead and do my audit because my protocol isn't in a state where it's either finalized or approved for audit. So if I just close out of this, I can click close. It stays on my desktop until it's finished. So here, I got to wait for my protocol to be updated. what I can do is we'll go into the day 0 activities. So again, here's my study. There's no findings associated with the study. And this is where you can go in and actually observe your in-life activities being performed. So here's my questionnaire. I can right-click on the questionnaire, and I can print the questionnaire. I can check the questionnaire out and save it onto my desktop if I was going somewhere where I wouldn't have access to the computer. Or I can physically print it, take it with me as paper, answer it, and then when I come back, enter the information into the system. But if I just wanted to click answer, what it's going to do is open the questionnaire. Let me just show you. Trying to find an audit I have with the questionnaire so I can show you the questionnaire. So here's the study questionnaire. I'm not sure what was wrong with the server I was on. That's not enabling me to open that. But here's the questionnaire. So you would just go through and answer the questions, and the system will tabulate a score depending on the type of scoring system that you defined in your questionnaire. And so you define the questions, and questions can be added on the fly as you're working through the audit. And so here's an audit that I've done. Again, the same thing that I'm working through right now, day 0, week 1 data. And as I went through, everything's completed. We have the audited elements and then findings. So what I'll do is go back to the audit I was working on, although I can't open the questionnaire. If during the conduct of the study I had a finding, what I would do is under my findings, just click the new button, and it'll allow me to create a new finding. Again, it's going to do a system ID and a unique numbering when you complete the finding. So this could be my day 0 in my finding. You have reference numbers. You can put in a description. Again, the person who's doing the audit's already pre-populated. The status of the finding is going to stay open. And then you can define specific priorities. And again, this is where I was saying you can define the list of items on here. So I have low and medium priority. The type of finding, again, you can define, is it a data, process, execution? So this is an execution during day 0. And you can also define risk categories, low risk, medium risk, high risk, whatever type of categorization you'd like to put in the system. Again, there's also categories. Again, this metadata allows you to filter and generate reports on the types of findings you have within the system. And so this is human error, they made a mistake. The audited element, when you click on it, it just pulls anything that you've defined in your audit list. So in this case, the audited element was the study. If I associated SOPs with this, the SOPs would be here as well, and I can select those. If there's any questions or questionnaires that were part of the finding, I can link those. And then you have a free text area of evidence. And so here, the technician did not share the balance for animals. Again, if you have groupings of findings, you can add a grouping, classification, minor, major, again, you define all these. And then if there's any attachments that you have that you want to load into the system that, again, is not part of the document management system, if it was maybe a packing slip or a photograph you took or something like that, and then you also have a comment field at the bottom. Again, because it's a finding, as the finding goes through its life cycle, any nonconformances or CAPAs that are associated to the finding get linked on here as well. So right now we're just creating the findings. So when I click OK, we get an automatic numbering, which you can define the numbering schema. And so here's the finding associated with this audit task. Again, I can look at my properties. If there's anything I wanted to put follow-up notes, attach anything. Here's the audit that's part of this task. So again, it goes back to the audited elements, the auditor, the study director, observer. So all of the information that's associated to the task is here. And when I complete it, it comes off my schedule because now the day zero audit is finished. If I come back into the data tables, I can see here the day zero activities is completed, and then I'm still waiting for the protocol and the data table audit to be completed. What I can do now is look at the findings. And so here's my findings, and what I see is I see the various metadata associated with it. So it's got a status of 1, which means it's open. And then I have 0 nonconformances, 0 actions associated with it. What I can do from here is I can start a process. So I can either start a nonconformance, which is a deviation. I can just issue a deviation, or I can start a CAPA. So either way, so in this case, we'll just start a CAPA, and then you can have several CAPA processes associated. So you can pick the CAPA process you want to apply to this finding, and then you link them together. What it's going to do is it's going to take the information from the finding and import it into the various fields that you have defined in your CAPA or your deviation. And so right now, it automatically launches the CAPA. And so here we have several fields. Again, the CAPA process is configurable to your business flow. And so this is just a generic out-of-the-box process that we have defined. And so here you define, was it a process, was it personnel, or was it equipment? And so in this case, it was personnel. Again, it pulls CAPA, it pulls the finding name, it pulls the issuer and the issuing date. And again, if I had a description defined, it would pull that as well. So it pulls that information automatically in. So now here, because it's personnel, I can link the employee who was part of the finding. And so here we'll just pick study technician. If there was equipment associated and you have your equipment registered in the system, you can link the equipment. So if it was an equipment failure, you can pull the equipment, which then you can follow up with equipment maintenance. The linked element is the finding, so it has the information on the finding, the start date. If there's any attachments you want to apply, any documents. And so now I'm just doing the corrective action request. So when I hit complete, what that'll do is that'll go ahead and launch the CAPA through its life cycle. So in this case, I'm part of the life cycle, so the corrective action plan is forwarded to me. When I click on this, again, it shows you the process up here. So the request was completed, and now we're on the action plan. And then again, here I have the action has to be approved. And again, you can define the various steps of this process. So see here, all the information is now grayed out because I can't edit it. As I go through the study technician, there's the finding, and then I need to do a root cause analysis. So here I have some defined, what's the cause? Human error, equipment error, process error. Again, you can define the pick list. Just having some refresh issues because I'm currently connected through GoToMeeting and through 2 remote desktops to get to our demo server. So when I do webinars, I kind of get some glitchy things just because of the way we're connecting. And so here you can define what the actual causes are. And it's, you know, technician error or and then if you want some more detail, again, you can define each of the steps. So when I hit complete here, it's going to ask me who's going to approve the corrective action plan. And I can go through. I'm just going to, again, assign everything to myself so that I don't have to log in and log out. And then you can set a due date. And again, the system will send notifications as you get closer to the due date. So you can have it send notifications 15 minutes, day before, at the due date, and then every 20 minutes after. It's past due every day, once a week. And then you can also put in a message. So that's going to send an approval. And see, here's the scheduler that I was assigned a task approval sequence. Log back in. Here's my task approval. And so it says, please review any follow-up notes. I can view the task. So here, it's human error, technician error. Okay. And then I can approve it. So now that it's approved, I'm able to complete the task. And again, you see the email notification, so everything is available and communicated. And so now my plan, once it was approved, it was automatically completed. I can't go back in and change anything. Okay. And so now we're on to the CAPA implementation. So here again, we have an approval. We work through the form. There's all the information, the detailed information, causes, and then here's what's the corrective preventative action. The corrective action, I have a few. This person needs to get some additional training. They also need to get some direct supervision. Again, you can build this list. So those are the 2 corrective actions that we're going to do for this employee. I can put some details. So retraining on balance use. Again, you see the squiggly line is for any typos. This is some of spell checks. And then if there's any additional details, if you have preventive action, so how do you prevent it in the future? They need more supervision. Again, this is just an example of a possible CAPA process. So again, when I mark it complete, it's going to send it for approval. Go to the manager. Again, you can define the work process. the due date, a message. That person, again, will get the email notification. You can click on it and log in, or when you log back into the system, you see you have a task waiting to be approved. So here I can go through it, I can view the task again, and I can approve the task. Once I approve it, that was done, and now we're on to the effectiveness check. So you can have effectiveness, training's been completed, the person's working on their supervision, and we go back through the process. Again, you can have a CAPA that could be 1 step, could be 5 steps, 20 steps. If there was no further action, this one could have closed out automatically, but we're working through the form. There's the plan. And so, was the training effective? If it's effective, it'll close. If it's not effective, it'll go back through the CAPA process again. And you have to define why wasn't it effective, what additional things can be done. And so here, we'll say it was effective, and that'll close out our CAPA. So that's going through the audit, the findings, CAPA, again, nonconformance. Same thing if we look at any findings we have. So this one here, if I look at it, it has a finding. Again, all the metadata, the type. And then here we see it had a nonconformance. And so we can go look at the deviation or the nonconformance process. There were no CAPAs associated with it. So the system does all of direct linking, so when you're looking at your findings, you'll see the status of them. You'll see if there's nonconformances and actions. The reason that didn't update is because I was still on the screen, so now I have 1 action. If I double click on it, I can see the associated information, and then there's the CAPA associated with it. This CAPA was issued to a group. You can have your CAPAs issued to individuals, management. We can go in and look at the CAPAs just like we did for findings. And again, the system lists out your CAPAs. You can search them by the audit name, the number, personnel. You can open it up and see the process and the form. So I can take charge of this to close it out as the supervisor. I can also look at the properties, if there's any follow-up notes and task attachments. So there's our findings, our CAPAs. So we'll go into document management. And so if we look at the study, and I did a protocol audit, and I look at the protocol document, by keeping everything within the system, we can look at the findings on our protocol. And so here we have a protocol that had a finding from an audit. And so study audit 14001 had a finding. So I can go look at the findings. So if you're doing an audit on an SOP, and your SOPs are managed in the system, you'll see all of the audit findings on your SOPs. So you can look at, as management, does this SOP need to be updated? Do the staff need to be retrained on it? So any findings are all automatically linked to the element that you're auditing when managing it all within the system. And that's the benefit that Labwise brings to your business, because not only do you get audit functionality, you get study registry, study data, reporting, protocols, all of that document management and workflows, but you also get the linkages between. The final step of the audit is actually generating the audit report. So if we come back in and we look at our audit, we have the plan which was done, the protocol audit, and then the report generation. When you generate a report within the system takes all the information and builds the report automatically. And so this one, I can't do my report until all of my tasks are done. And so once all of your tasks are 100%, the report generation will be sent out by email, and you'll be able to generate the report. I have an example of a report I generated earlier today. I'm going to my QA group. We have the protocol audit. Again, it automatically loads it into the document management system. And so because it's not the final report, it's not distributed, so it's a working version, and I can modify the document. So I can just click on it, open it up, and make changes. This is our out-of-the-box. We can take this information and apply it to any Word report you may have, or you can expand on this template and add additional textual fields to it. So here we're mapping the audit name, the audit date, the audit number, the chief auditor, any description, and then a summary. It has all of the audited elements. So in this case, I did a protocol audit. It was a document, the name of the document, and then if there were any findings associated with it. If there were any questionnaires used for the audit, they would be shown here with the information, the score, and the compliance level. The second page has all of the findings. So we have the finding number, the type of finding, the name, the audited element, again the linkage, the priority, the status of the finding, whether it was a non-conformance or a CAPA. And then you get into finding details. So the type, the name, description, the non-conformance. So again, everything's linked, so you can now look into your non-conformances and find your deviation. And so that's just some of the items that come out of the audit report. And like I said, we're not really in the business of QA auditing, so every company may have a different audit report document that they want to use. This is just, showing you that we can link all of the audited items directly into your document. We can do the same thing with protocols or reports, so any metadata maintained in the system can be loaded directly into documents. A couple more features of the system is we have process statistics, which allows you to view all of your audits and their life cycle. And so here, by selecting the process template, which is study audit, and the site, so you can look at your various sites. If you're a global company, you have multiple locations. You can filter by site to show me all of the open audits, any suspended, completed, and canceled. So total is 38 audits. It has the aging, so your process aging, your suspended, and your open aging. So how long, what's the longest open audit that we have? And then it breaks it down by month. And so here we can see in October we had 10 issued. There's 10 open, 2 were completed each month. So you can get your stats there. And then you can also look at the bottom and look at each one. So you can sort them by maximum age, minimum age, so which ones are the oldest, and you can follow up and get those completed. It has all the information, if they're overdue, if they're late. Again, as you define that metadata within the audit, putting in a due date, putting in an estimated duration, the system will keep track of all of that information and provide it to you in this table. And then there's also Audit Program. What an Audit Program is it allows you to plan out audits for a period of time. For example, if you're doing facility inspections and you do facility inspections on a quarterly basis, you can create an audit program, which would be your facility inspections. So it could be if it's a CRO or a sponsor or a lab, and you can define the type. So this one's a facility. Who's the owner of the program, put in a description, a name, and then you build the various audits that you want to do. If there are any conflicts, they'll show up down here. And so it also shows you notifications. So as you build them, you can send notifications that quarterly inspection was scheduled for this date. You can require those auditors and inspectors and auditees to confirm that they'll be available for the audit. They can decline. So that's what this waiting for confirmation, declines, confirm. This is really more for planning something like a site inspection. It wouldn't really be for an ad hoc study inspection. And then when you come into the details, you plan out your audit. And so instead of going through the audit plan for each of these, you can copy them. And so that's why here I have quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. And so you can automatically generate these to make it more streamlined. If I open it, again, here's the audit planning, the various aspects of it. So again, you can monitor the audit as well. So this one is actually active. And then here's a proposed one, but I didn't send out notifications. So here's just the general information on the plan. It even has some costing, anticipated costs, objectives, logistics. If there's travel involved, you can put that information in, locations, and then the execution information. What are the audited elements? Who are the auditors? Their anticipated start date. And so you have the ability to add these things and then just copy. So you can add another one. You can import an audit. So if you're running the same audit again that you did before on the same items, you can import it back in. And then if you wanted to launch it right from here, you could launch it. So that's for planning out audits over time. That pretty much covers all of the audit functionality. We've gone through the audit planning, nonconformance, CAPAs, audit reports, process statistics, and the audit program. So Megan, that pretty much covers everything I had. If there's any questions, again, these webinars are meant to just give you a little example of the actual functionality of the system. If you need more information, contact us and we'll be able to do a longer training session and look at your process and tailor and configure it for your business process to show you how it will really benefit your operation.
Yeah, Tom, we have about 5 minutes left. I had a couple questions come through, so okay. I'll go ahead and see how many we can get to. This webinar attendee mentions that they're actually a Pristema customer, so they wanted to know, is Labwise accessible from Pristema? And they said, you mentioned the ability to link a body weight table. Do any other linkages exist between the two systems? And then this isn't part of the question, but if you could also talk about the abilities to link if you're not a Pristema customer.
Okay, so the webinar series started with the Pristema Labwise integration. And what we have is a product pipeline of bringing these two products together for the total preclinical. So for everything from protocol concept sheet to send submission to be managed with Xybion's products, from Labwise to Pristema to Savant, which is our data warehouse send module. And so what we have here is we have a study registry, and this is where the linkages from Pristema. So currently, any study that's entered in Pristema will push into the study registry. The study registry can also be manually entered through Labwise to enter studies that aren't in Pristema. And so the Labwise functionality out of the box comes with a study registry because that produces a master schedule. And so there you can link the audit to the study that's maintained in the study registry. The document management part of the integration with Pristema is we have SOPs. If you manage SOPs in Labwise, they're available on all of the data entry screens in Pristema. So you'll never get a notification or a 483 for the SOP not being available to the user. The deviation or nonconformance workflow that we went through is also launchable from inside Pristema. It's a non-animal measurement that the technician can enter right in the animal room, and when they select the process workflow, if it's going right to the study director, that launches the nonconformance process, that launches this deviation process automatically and sends a notification to the study director. So if I look at my list of nonconformances, you can see here I have a lot. These were all generated, where the study says Labwise, those were all generated from inside Pristema. So Labwise is a licensable module of Pristema, just like clinical pathology, pharmacy, colony, and version 6.4.1 of Pristema, you can license Labwise as a module. And what that gives you is those pieces. What I can do is just show you real quick. If I log into my Pristema 641, here's Labwise. When I click this, it takes me right into Labwise. So hopefully that answered the question. Our vision is to be able to do a lot of processes and add additional integrations to Pristema. One of those being a veterinary examination, where you can do a clinical sign and send a workflow into Labwise to send a notification to the veterinarian to go treat an animal. And so here I'm logged into Labwise through Pristema.
So Tom, do you need to have, but you don't need to have Pristema to use Labwise? No.
And that's where everything I did before was just Labwise as a standalone product without Pristema. And what you would do is, in the document management, when you generate your Pristema tables, you would just, in the folder structure here under your study, just create a folder, study data tables. You generate your Pristema report, and you just save it in here. Now, being saved in here, you can send it for a review sequence, which could be your QC. And whenever you send a review, there's a due date. So you can give your QC person 2 weeks to do the QC. They'll get an email. They'll get it on their work page that they have 2 weeks to complete the QC of the body weight data. They can then open that document and make changes to it on the document with track changes. And they can, make changes and do things. Again, it's not touching the data in Pristema. And then they can send it back, and that person can log into Pristema and do an edit to fix the data and regenerate the tables, which would then be your final tables, which could be loaded in and distributed. A distributed document can then be linked to the protocol and be audited and other functionality performed on it.
Great. All right. Well, that brings us to 11 o'clock. So if I don't have any other questions come through in the next couple seconds from any of the attendees, I think we'll wrap it up here. And as I mentioned, today's session has been recorded, so all the attendees and all the registrants today will get a recorded copy of today's session. I will be sending an email to follow up with everyone, and if you have any additional questions, or as Tom mentioned, wanted to see a more in-depth view of the system, you can always feel free to email me or contact us via our website, Xybion.com. So thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the week and a lovely weekend. So have a good one. Thank you. Bye.